So we see that Tashi Delek is the first thing here. So Tashi Delek is actually, it's a form of greeting, which many people interpret in a very interesting way. And people have their own interpretation of this very greeting. And you might hear some people when they say Tashi Delek, sometimes they may say Tashi Delek is a it's a counterpart, or it's the form of saying hello in Tibetan, but in reality, hello and hi is a very different particle that we used in Tibetan. So when we say hello, hi, hey, we have a particle. We have actually three different particles specially designated for that very purpose, to say hey, hello, and hi. But the thing is that in Tibetan language, mostly, whenever we meet people face to face, we don't say hello, hi, or hey. Rather, we start with a greeting that has a sort of a positive wish, of positive, a aspiration or a wish, or a word that actually means a wishing for a good thing to be happening to the person that we just met. And one such greeting is Tashi Delek. So it is Tashi Delek, Tashi Delek, Tashi Delek, Tashi Delek. So it's Tashi Delek, Tashi Delek, Tashi Delek, Tashi Delek. So this very greeting that we have, so here's the interpretation that I make from this very greeting. And you will find a variation of interpretation on this. And honestly, each and every one of those interpretations have their own reasoning and reason and their own explanation on why they have taken a certain interpretation of this word. So here, I have taken the interpretation of this greeting as wishing good health and prosperity. Wishing good health and prosperity. So whenever you meet a new person and you meet them face to face and you want to start a conversation or just greet them, the most common greeting is Tashi Delek, which means wishing good health and prosperity. So here we are wishing someone a good health. So a good health, what does a good health mean? We mean not only the good health in context to the physical health, but also to the mental health. De actually means a state of calm and relaxation, a state of blissfulness. And a state of blissfulness, this is the actual meaning of the word de. So de means blissfulness. And blissfulness can be attained with good health, good physical and mental health. So Delek here means good health mentally and physically. Tashi. So you see that I have actually darkened two words in this. First one is wishing, and I have darkened this because wishing is more an inferential meaning rather than a depicted meaning. So it's more inferential because we don't have any word here that means wishing. In Tibetan, the word wishing is mun. Mun. So let me just write it here so it will be much clearer. Let me see if I have the. Okay, so let me just see if I have the. Yes, so go here, here. Okay. So in the chart, you see that there's this word mun. Samata manaru mena min. Min means to wish, to pray. So here we see that there is not a single word which seems like min, but it is a more inferential thing. It's not directly said, but it's more inferential that we are wishing that for someone else. Therefore, this is darkened. This here, it's darkened for another reason. This is darkened because my take on this very greeting is prosperity. Prosperity, tashi, as prosperity. Tashiba means to be prosper. But then there are other translations which translate this as auspiciousness. So we can say I wish auspiciousness and good health to you, and this is also not wrong. And it's equally wonderful to wish someone that, but my take is more rather on the prosperity. Prosperity in the sense of both in the worldly sense, to be prosperous in their day-to-day life, in their worldly accumulation. So having a good life in the sense of worldly, and then also having a good life dharmically. So this is actually, it is more subjective to each person. So the thing is that it depends on who is actually saying prosperity. Some may say prosperity, some may understand this as prosperity in more worldly sense, and that's also correct. And those who mean it both in the worldly as well as dharmic sense, that also worked for them. So in any case, Tashi Delek means wishing good health, mental and physical, and prosperity. So this is my take on this very greeting. And in some cases, you'll see wishing you auspiciousness and blissfulness, and that's also correct. I mean, it's also correct. It's a literal translation of this actual sentence or phrase. So when we say Tashi Delek, Tashi Delek, Tashi Delek, Tashi Delek, it means wishing you good health and prosperity. Now we see that the first person said Tashi Delek, and the second person replies with Tashi Delek. So whatever is wished upon you, you wish them back. So if they wish good health and prosperity to you, you wish them back good health and prosperity. So today we're going to deal with greetings only. So there won't be sentences which actually goes towards, let's say, asking what is your name. This will be happening in next class. Today we'll only focus on how to greet someone. And greeting is actually a very wide, a very vast subject, because greetings can be happening in many different ways. Sometimes we can greet people on, we can say and send good wishes and greetings during some auspicious day. So you see that greeting is actually much more vast than normally we think. It's not just about greeting someone when we don't know them and we try to initiate a conversation by greeting someone, or just going on with your day, and then when you see someone and then you just greet them. So it's a variation, and it depends on many different circumstances and scenarios. So therefore, today we are going to deal with greetings only. So when you meet someone, you can start off with Tashi Delek. Very wonderful greeting, actually, in Tibetan. And if you think about the very meaning of this, you feel that, oh, that person has actually wished a wonderful thing upon me. And if you wish that with the full intent, then it's a very wonderful wish or greeting to someone. Now, the second greeting here we see, Kukham-sang. 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 So we see that Kukham-sang is also a greeting, which means wishing you good physical health. So here we normally only think about the physical because of the very word ku. Ku is actually a honorific of the word lu or suk. So normally we can say sukham, lukham de, or lukham sang, or we can say uh, sukham de, which is also a way to greet in the same context as we are greeting in this. We are greeting them good physical health. But we see that when we say lukam de, it becomes more of a even though it's not disrespectful, but it doesn't integrate honorific. And the thing is that if it's possible, we should always use honorifics. It's just more respectful, and believe me, if you just speak honorific, it's also much more it's much more gentler. It's more gentle to the ears. When a person hears honorifics, it's more gentle to the ear, and then the person feels good. It's more gentle to the heart. So therefore, it's actually a very good way of speaking with respect. So therefore, in this class, we will be trying to use the honorific here as much as possible, so that people can actually be acquainted with the dialect, which is more respectful in Tibetan, and some of the dialect that some of you may have been using in the colloquial system of speaking are not always honorific. So, and other thing is that the colloquial system of speaking has so many particles that are not the particles used in the grammatical structure of Tibetan language. Therefore, we're sticking more, our integrity lies more towards the grammatical aspect of Tibetan structure. So therefore, every sentence that we make, we will try to integrate the grammatical particle. So kukamsan. And there are instances where people may argue. So these are the people who are staying very true to the Tibetan grammatical system, and they say, oh, in that case, now that you're saying that our integrity lies towards the grammatical system, shouldn't we say kukam susang? Kukam su sang. So instead of kukam sang, kukam su sang. So kukam su sang. And I'll say, definitely, you're correct. This is how I should have said it. And they'll say, why have you not said it? And the only reason that I can give is that here I have gone more, here there is a more inclination towards the colloquial system of speaking. And they may ask, why are you not saying kukamsusang? And I'll say it becomes too long. Why does it become too long? Because it's not very good to hear when you say it. It's just seems that su is something that is a extra in the sentence. But in reality, it's not the extra. It's because we are more habitual towards not using it, that it has made us think that it's better without su. So we can say kukam susang, which is correct and which is grammatically correct, and which is a wonderful sentence, actually. So therefore, those of you who want to use kukam susang or kukam sang, you may actually use either. So therefore, so when we use su, there are some more technical differences but we will not go in those technical differences in this class, because the very purpose of this class is to teach people how to speak, and it is not to integrate grammatical rules. And yes, and so the another thing is kukam sang, and you see that the kukam sang. So here, very sorry to everyone who are here. This should have been shakyu, but this is yatak, and therefore I think this was a typographical mistake, because yatak and shakyu are actually neighboring keys. So when you type, sometimes it happens. So kokam sang, and definitely I will edit this and send it, send the edited version to everyone. So very sorry for the mistake. So this is also kokam sang, which means wishing you good physical health. So we see that these two are actually very beautiful greetings. When we meet someone, we say, "Oh, I wish for your good health and prosperity." And then after that, we say, "Wishing you good physical health." So wishing a lot of good health. Why? So that the person who is living can experience blissfulness. Without good health, they cannot experience blissfulness. So therefore, kukamsang. So good physical health. These both are greetings. So the first two greetings that we learn in Tibetan, first one is Tashi Delek. Tashi Delek. Tashi Delek. Tashi Delek. Which means I'm wishing you good health and prosperity. Now, the second greeting that we do is Kukamsang. 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 Which means wishing you a good physical health. Okay, now let's go to the next page, which is other forms of greeting. So we also have other forms of greeting. We just there's not only Tashi Delek in Tibetan, though it is probably the most famous out of all of the greetings that we have. I mean, if someone is learning Tibetan, the best way to tell someone is just learning Tibetan is that they're going to use a lot of Tashi Delek. And it's a wonderful thing. Tashi Delek is a very good greeting. But then we have other form of greetings. And the first one is greetings on a specific part of a day, meaning we have different part. We have the early morning, we have the late morning, we have the noon, we have afternoon, we have the evening, then we have late evening, and then we have night and midnight, and then we have morning. So we see that we have different part of days on which we can actually greet someone. Now, when I go through this, if some of you have actually learned Tibetan conversation, you may have questions after this. But since we will be doing after doing this, I will tell you what is the question that might arise. So the first one is Ngatro Delek. Ngatro Delek. Ngatro Delek. Ngatro means morning. Delek means good and a healthy. So healthy meaning having a good health. So it doesn't mean that the morning is healthy. It means that the person is healthy in that particular frame of time. So the very structure that is being used here seems very misleading. It says wishing you good and healthy morning, and people may feel that, oh, the morning, sorry. So people may feel that it's a healthy morning, but it's more towards the person. whom we're wishing to have healthy morning. So Ngatro Delek. Then we have Shokpa Delek. Shokpa Delek. Shokpa Delek. Shokpa Delek. Which means good morning. So it means good morning, but we tend to add, even though we mean a good morning, and we know that when we say good morning, we mean everything, but what actually Shokpa Dele means is wishing you a good. When we say good, it means that a morning that is peaceful, a morning where you are happy, where you are physically healthy, and basically a morning that is a good morning for you. So Shokpa Delek. Then when it comes to afternoon, so even though the word Ninghung means noon, 12 o'clock exact, but here the concept actually stretches from just the noon to afternoon. So it means anytime from noon to evening. So anytime when you meet someone between noon and evening, you can wish them Ninghung Dele. Nin, because Nin means the day, Kung means the center or the middle of a day. So exactly middle of the day, which is actually the noon. So Yingkung Delek means wishing you or wishing good and healthy afternoon. Afternoon, because I told you, even though it literally translates to noon, but here we mean any time between the noon and evening. So wishing good and healthy afternoon. Yinghung Delek. Chitro Delek. Chitro Delek. Chitro Delek, which means evening. So when we say Chitro, it means evening and anytime between evening and the next day. So we can say Chitro Delek. So wishing you a good and healthy evening. So a good and evening where you are healthy mentally and physically. So this is just because you may find that most of the greeting consists of good health, and this is more a habit of Tibetan people, because we wish good health because we believe that relaxation and blissfulness only arises from good health. So therefore, we have this tendency, or most of our greetings have a tendency of wishing good health upon other people. Doesn't matter in any part of the day. And now the question that I said that might arise is, some may say, "Tsemodelek," you may say. But there is a greeting I've heard which is "Tsemodelek." Why haven't you used it here? It's very simple, because "Tsemodelek" is not actually a greeting, it's more like a farewell. When you go to your own home after meeting your friends or an acquaintance or someone you know for the evening, and then you just have to go back to your home, and then before going you say "Tsemodelek." But there are other ways to say farewell, but we're not going to go with farewell at the moment. But that's the reason why I have not used "Tsemodelek" here. I have not included "Tsemodelek." "Tsemodelek." I have not used the "Tsemodelek" because it's a farewell. It's not a greeting. And greetings are given when you meet someone and initiate a conversation, rather than going in rather than a farewell. So therefore, that's the reason why I have not included Senmo Delek. Senmo Delek will be introduced with the farewell, such as Simjanangwo or Jema Jeyong. These are farewell, and we will include Senmo Delek in that very group. So we have not used it here. Though it's a part of a day, night is a part of a day, but it's like good night, a farewell, rather than a greeting. So therefore, we have not used this in this, we have not included this in this group, which is greetings on a specific part of a day. Now we also have a greeting which is Tusum Delek. So it is Tusum Delek. So Tusum Delek. So Tusum Delek is actually a greeting that we give someone when we are wishing them a greeting, when we're greeting them for the entire day. So we'd say, have a nice day. So that type of greeting is Tusum Delek. So rather than having it for a specific part of a day, we're using it for an entire day, Tusum Delek. So we have similar greetings like this. And now we have other form of greetings which are done on a specific day, a day greeting which is said during a specific or a special day. So the first one is, and this may be actually one of the more useful ones, is Tunkar Tashi Delek. Tunkar Tashi Delek. Tunkar Tashi Delek. Tunkar Tashi Delek, which means wishing you good health and prosperity on your birthday. So the Tashi Delek is wishing prosperity and good health. But this is saying that I wish that especially on your birthday now. So Tunkar Delek, Tunkar Tashi Delek, which means wishing you. So prosperity can now also be used as auspiciousness. So wishing you good health and auspiciousness on your birthday. So it's a wish that you actually, it's a greeting that you use to wish someone on their birthday. And then we have Namlo Sartse Tashi Delek, which means Namlo Sartse means during the new year. So we're wishing good health and prosperity or auspiciousness, but now on the new year. Namlo Sartse Tashi Delek. Namlo Sartse Tashi Delek. Namlo Sartse Tashi Delek. Wishing you good health and prosperity on New Year. You see that the greetings that we're using in Tibetans mostly have Tashi Delek, because Tashi Delek is actually a greeting which is a wonderful greeting and can be used with different, when we use it for specific days, we can just use that very phrase Tashi Delek, and then we can add the specific day with Tashi Delek, and it becomes a greeting that is specific for that day. So any sort of day that you celebrate, any celebration, you can use Tashi Delek. So so you must remember that Tashi Delek only goes with celebration. It only goes with celebration. This does not go with memorial days, because we remember people, we remember things that happen on a certain day. Those are memorial days. We never wish things like prosperity or good health on those days. So one must remember that Tashi Delek only goes with the days, the specific days that we actually celebrate. So Tashi Delek. And with that, we add a certain day. So for example, if we say Tunkat Tashi Delek, it means prosperity and good health to you on your birthday. Namlo Satse Tashi Delek, which means good health and prosperity to you on New Year's Day. Then we have Tashi Delek, which means good health and prosperity or auspiciousness on the 15th of Saka month. So the 15th day of the Saka month is known as which means a day which has 3 auspicious events. So we call it that way because it's the day when it's the exact day when Buddha was born, attained enlightenment, and then later passed away to the complete liberation. So therefore, we call it the day of a day of 3 auspicious event. So if you want to wish someone on that day, you say Tujie Sumzom Nimor Trashidele. Tujie Sumzom Nimor becomes the day. So similarly, you have different days in that you celebrate in your own tradition. So you can use those tradition, the name of that specific day, right? And then you can use Tashi Delek at the end. And that becomes the very specific greeting on that very day. So these are some of the greetings that we use in Tibetan language. So there are more greetings, but we will learn a bit every time so that we will have time to actually practice this. And then those of most of you, I feel, that are already in the group. So in the morning, you can use these greetings. You can just write Ngato Delek, Shokpa Delek in the group. And if it's evening or night, you can say Chito Delek, right? So these are the things that you can actually use, and you have to use so that you can memorize them, or you can actually be familiar with the usage. So you can just so for example, we in the group you can just write in the group Tashi Delek, and this is a greeting to everyone, or you can say Kukamsang, right? You can say Kukamsang in the group, and it is a greeting to every member of the group. And then people can actually answer this with Kukamsang or Tashi Delek. Or if it's a specific time of the day, they can say, oh, it's afternoon, you can say Nyunghun Delek. Or if it's morning, you can say Ngadro Delek. Or if it's morning and you want to wish everyone a good day, you can say Tusum Delek. So if you use this regularly, it will stick with you. The thing is that you can use it by writing as well as speaking. Since we all have the class group on WhatsApp, what you can do is you can send voice messages in which you greet everyone like Tashi Delek, Shokpa Delek. And it will help you with your pronunciation. It will help you with your pronunciation of the words. It will help you in speaking, as well as it will help you with remembering the greetings. The thing is that here, when we listen in the class, it will be only 20 to 30% of the actual work that you have to put in to learn Tibetan. So definitely coming to class will teach you different phrases related to the conversation. But if you won't use it in the day-to-day life, you will just forget it. And luckily, because of all of you wonderful participants in this classes, we're able to build that small space where we actually can communicate with each other. And if we start just by saying Tashi Delek every morning, it makes a lot of difference, because if one says Tashi Delek, hopefully the other will reply Tashi Delek, and then slowly it becomes a place where everyone can actually grew together in learning Tibetan. So therefore, and then definitely, uh, I will always be there saying Tashi Delek in the group, So therefore, these are the greetings, some of the greetings in Tibetan. And we will focus on actually not a lot of greetings, because we see that this is actually enough of greetings. And then for this part, we have Tashi Delek, and then we only have to have word for different celebrations. You see, it doesn't have to be a Tibetan uh, celebration. It could be a day, a holiday, any holiday. So on that specific holiday, you can say Tashi Delek with the name of that holiday. So therefore, we see that by that, we will be able to improve how to speak. So therefore, you see that it is very important to use the class group. So I urge and humbly request every one of you to use the class group, because this is going to be so much more helpful than just the class. The class is going to be helpful. Definitely, it's going to be helpful. But then when you start speaking in the class group, many people will come forward and speak. And this will become a small space where we know that everyone is learning, including me. You see, everyone is learning and everyone is evolving, becoming better in learning Tibetan. And before we understand, before we know, we see people actually speaking very wonderful Tibetan. But that will happen eventually. It won't happen in 1 month or two, or probably won't happen in the 3 months of the duration we have the basic Tibetan class. But eventually, 6 months or 1 year, you will be speaking Tibetan. But this will happen if you speak. And this very group we have is a wonderful space to speak, because every one of you are, including me, sorry, every one of us, including me, is learning here. So therefore, okay, so let me go through every one of this one more time quickly. And then afterward, if you have any question, ask me. Very happy to receive questions, actually. So if anyone of you have doubts like, oh, you said this, but it might mean that, or something like this, then definitely you can ask me. So you see the conversation one has been uploaded again. This is the edited version sent to you by Ellen La. So please download that. That has the correct without this one. So therefore, you will have the correct one with you. So the first greeting, Tashi Delek. Tashi Delek. Tashi Delek. Kukam sang. Kukam sang. Kukam sang. Ngatro Delek. Ngatro Delek. Ngatro Delek. Shokpa Delek. Shokpa Delek. Shokpa Delek. Nyingkung Delek. Nyingkung Delek. Nyingkung Delek. Nyingkung Delek. Chidro Delek. Chidro Delek. Chidro Delek. Chidro Delek. Thunkar Tashi Delek. Thunkar Tashi Delek. Thunkar Tashi Delek. Thunkar Tashi Delek. Namlo Sarthe Tashi Delek. Namlo Sarthe Tashi Delek. Namlo Sarthe Tashi Delek. Tujen Sumzom Nimur 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 Tashi Delek. So you see, there are these different greetings that we have. So the only thing that you have to do for these specific days is just pick any day that you want to wish someone or greet someone on that specific day, and then use Tashi Delek with it. Tashi Delek is a wonderful greeting. And then we have Ngatwa Delek, Shoba Delek, Nungkung Delek, Chitwa Delek. And you can use this every day. I mean, if some of you are just entering the group, and some of you, if you just want to answer the question, before answering the question that I have sent on the group, you can just start by Ngatwa Delek. Or if it's morning, if it's evening, you can say Chitwa Delek. If it's afternoon, you can say Nungkung Delek. So we can have more variation. Definitely, Tashi Delek is a wonderful greeting. But we can actually use variation of greetings for this. So these are the greetings. And so today we are just dealing with the greetings. And next class, we will talk about, first we will talk about the way to ask someone's name and ways to tell your own name, and then different variation of that very sentence. But very sorry, most of them will be, excuse me, sorry. So most of them will be inclined towards the written language. Plus, they will have more honorifics rather than the more colloquial way of speaking. So this is today's class on greetings. And now if anyone has questions, please ask away. So any questions regarding this, or any questions that you may feel like, oh, you have said this, but I have heard it like that. Why is like this? Why isn't it like that? Any questions like that? If you have any questions like that, please ask away.
Yes, please. May I ask?
Sir.
Thank you so much. It's a very ordinary question regarding Kumansan. Yes, you explained everything, and we can use, as I understand, Tashi Delek, Kumansan. Is Kumansan more common?
Kungkamsang.
Yeah, Kumansan.
Yes, Kungkamsang is actually quite common.
Sorry. Kukam, so not Kuman. I heard Kuman from different people, and here yeah?
It's Kukam.
Kukam.
Yes. So definitely here we are actually a little more strict on the sound also. So Kukam-sang. And we'll try to the thing is that we try to pronounce it as close as possible, right? So that it actually makes the very meaning. It means kukam. Kukam means the physical state of body. Sang means good. So kukam sang.
Okay. Kukam sang.
Kukam. Kukam.
Kukam sang. Kukam sang.
That's so. And like I said, ku is the honorific of the word suk. We have sukpo, which means the body. We have lupo, which means the body. Actually, lu is a very beautiful word. So I'm very sorry I have to do this because lu is a very beautiful word actually. What it means what lu means is the thing that is left after the death. So lupa means something that is left behind. So we call our body lu, which means something that we have to leave, something that is left behind once we go towards the next life. So it's called lu, which actually I feel it's a very wonderful way to call our body if you want to actually remember the impermanence of the body. So the first time I heard that explanation, it was a wonderful explanation. I was very happy with that explanation. Yes, lupa. So you see that in the chat, Ellen has written lupa. Let's introduce a lupa. Lupa means it's a way to write something that is left behind. So once you're dead, it's left behind. Therefore, it's called lu, something that is left behind. So that's an extra explanation, but it's a very wonderful explanation. I couldn't stop myself to do the explanation. So Okay, so any other questions? If any one of you have questions, please ask away. Anything regarding today's lesson or anything that you have heard in your day-to-day life. Definitely, there are many mispronunciations that you will hear in your day-to-day life. Very much so. It's not that those are made just by the people, foreigners who learn Tibetan. It's also made by many of the native speakers, which is actually even more alarming, you see. But in any case, if you feel that there's a pronunciation difference between the way I pronounce it and the way you have heard people pronounce it, then please definitely tell me. And if it's actually correct, then I'll say why it's correct and why there is a difference between how I pronounce it and how you have heard it being pronounced. And in any case, if I feel that the person, the one that you have heard is correct and the one I have pronounced is wrong, then definitely I'll have to admit to it. And I say, oh, very sorry that this is wrong. But yeah, the way you heard it was correct. But if it's the other way around, then I'll say, yes, it's actually I pronounced it. You have heard it like this, but the one who spoke it was actually wrong. So there will be three cases in those cases. So please, if you have heard it in a way that is pronounced different from the way I'm pronouncing it, make sure to bring it here. And we will dissect the very sound and we'll see why the person. And then we see that, and then there's this case where I told you, the way I'm teaching Tibetan speaking, it is not influenced by any regional dialect. It is strictly written language. And the reason why I choose written language is it's a language that is understood by every region of Tibet. Whereas regional dialect, some of the regional dialect are so different from other regional dialect, you know. And we have this very funny joke that we make. We say that some of the regional dialect are so different from other regional dialect that if you go there and the person is saying to your face that I'm going to kill you, you will not understand it. Though it's Tibetan, but the original dialect changes it to such a drastic way that even if the person is saying, I'm going to kill you now, you won't understand even a single word, you know? So this is the regional dialect influence. So because we don't want the regional dialect influence on this, we're strictly making it a written language conversation class. And those of you who wish to continue learning Tibetan and later on take on the grammar in Tibetan, the way it's learned written language, you're going to be very thankful that it was written language. More or less the thing that you are actually speaking. So you are speaking grammatically correct all the time. So grammar will be much easier to learn. So any more questions? If you have any questions, please ask away. Any questions related to Tibetan conversation? Gongmo Delek. What is the difference between Chito and Gongmo? Okay, so the difference between Chito and Gongmo. So when we say Gongmo, it's more like night, whereas Chito has a it has more, it is more pervasive actually. So the correct word is pervasive. What it means is that Gongmo is a smaller span of time. It's a time that starts from the late evening and ends at midnight. Whereas Chito starts from around 4:35, and it's a time period from there to midnight. So it is more pervasive. There is greater time, a greater time span in Chito rather than in Gongmo. Gongmo is just a time from late evening to midnight. So we have Gongmo Delek. So Gongmo Delek. So yeah, here. So those of you, please notice that there is another greeting for a specific time that is Gongmo Delek, which means which is good evening, but it's an evening that's late evening. So Chito can refer to late evening as well as evening that's not the late evening, it's more like 5 or 6 o'clock, to time which is like 9 o'clock and later. So we see that there is a difference between those two. Chito is more pervasive. It stretches more. So there's more time period. It covers more time period in a day. So that's the difference when we say Chito Delek and Gongmo Delek. It's like saying good morning and it's like saying morning and early morning. So we see that early morning is morning, but morning also refers to the late morning. So morning is more pervasive. So that's the difference. So any more questions? If we have more questions, then I will be answering them. If not, then this is it for today, for our first conversation class. And we will continue these classes until the 30th of December 2022. And we will introduce small portion of things each time, so that there will be chance for you to ask questions. There will be chance for me to explain everything in as much detail as possible. Not too much detail because it becomes too complicated. And in some other cases, there won't be that much detail because there won't be much detail. So therefore, in other cases, I'll do as much as possible on the details to make it as clear as possible. So is there any more questions? And the thing is that today we weren't able to do this, but in next class, so therefore in next class, what we're going to do is that I want each and every one of you to learn these greetings, so that in the beginning of the class, during the combined reading, we have selected at the end of the class, but on the conversation class, I'm going to choose a random person in the beginning of the class, and I'm going to and we're going to have this small conversation where we're going to greet each other in the next class. And then after that, we will have a conversation where we will greet each other and ask for each other's names, things like this, like a practice conversation. Similarly, we have our group. So those of you who are in the group, please be active. Let's use this group to its fullest potential, or to its fullest capacity. And if there is no more question, then this is it for today, I guess. So this is it for today. And thank you for everyone who have participated. And I will see you on, I think the next class is on Saturday, is it?